Hey Dragon Slayers, today's video is about how fasting isn't a cure-all and that diet still matters. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel out. Let's get started. So of course, fasting isn't a cure-all. Healthy eating still matters. Modern medicine's greatest challenges are metabolic diseases. Obesity, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, collectively known as metabolic syndrome. The presence of any of these diseases tremendously increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, cancer, and premature death. And at the roots of metabolic syndrome lie the Western diet, with its abundance of sugar, high fructose corn syrup, artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners, and overdependence on refined grains. Societies have kept their traditional patterns of eating are not affected with those metabolic disorders. Dr. Jason Fung's book focuses on one particular facet of traditional eating patterns that is virtually forgotten in today's society, which is intermittent fasting. However, this is only part of the solution for optimal health. It is not enough to simply add fasting to your life. You must also focus on healthy eating patterns. So what healthy eating, when you say it, what does that actually mean? There is a tendency to define a healthy eating pattern as simply some combination of macronutrients. There are only 3 macronutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, and fat. Many healthy diets recommended by experts specify some percentage of those 3. So, for example, the older dietary guidelines for Americans advise keeping dietary fat to less than 30% of total calories. And the widespread adoption of nutrition and calorie labels on packaged foods has unfortunately contributed to that viewpoint. While this may appear scientific, there is no real basis for these recommendations. The underlying assumption of macronutrients-based guidelines is that all fats are equal, all carbs are equal, and all proteins are also equal. However, this is clearly false. Extra virgin olive oil is not the same as trans fat laden margarine. Even though both are pure fat, our bodies respond completely differently to each one. Protein from wild salmon is not as highly refined as gluten, which is protein even though it's found in grains. Carbohydrates from sugar are not the same as carbohydrates from broccoli or kale. White bread is not the same as white beans. They are simple and easily measurable differences in the way our bodies metabolize these different foods. So the same holds true for calories. Dietary guidelines that specify calorie limits unwittingly assume that all calories are equal. But 100 calories of a green salad does not have the same fattening effect as 100 calories of chocolate chip cookies. Relying on macronutrient-based guidelines or calorie limits makes eating far more complicated than it should be. We do not eat a specific percentage of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. We eat foods certain foods that are more fattening than others. Therefore, the best advice focuses on eating or not eating specific foods, not specific nutrients. Because consistently high insulin levels are the root cause of all diseases of metabolic syndrome, it's especially important for those with metabolic syndrome to consider how food stimulates the release of insulin. Fasting, of course, is your ultimate weapon in your arsenal when it comes to lowering insulin levels, since all foods stimulate insulin to some degree. The best way to lower insulin is to eat nothing at all. However, we cannot fast indefinitely, so there are some simple rules to follow to lower insulin levels. That's what I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel out. And remember, guys, that together, you and I will slay the dreaded diabetes dragon.